Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Live. A final look at your sport news now for today. Motorsport is seen as an elitist and expensive sport, and a number of people walk away from it despite not even looking at the options that are available in the sport due to the economical challenges that they face. Now, to look at the different pathways into motorsport, we've roped in the managing member of ICAN Management Group, Mpho Gumbi, to talk to us about all things motorsport and where we are standing from a South African point of view. Mpho, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So, oftentimes when people think of motorsport, the only thing that comes to mind is the driver. Yeah. But we've heard drivers say time and time again, I'm nothing without my team. So perhaps for the benefit of our viewers at home, just speak to us about the different careers and the different elements that are involved in motorsport before getting to the driver, looking at the engineers and all the other components that need to come together.
Yeah. Well, motorsport is definitely man and machine. The man is obviously what we will know as the driver, and they have a host of different things that they need to do to perform at a very high level. And then you have the machine, which, as you just pointed out, that you have engineers and mechanics and a host of people around the machine to make that perform at an optimal level. The two come together and they marry. Like in Formula One, just a sport that probably would be in mind for everybody right now. There's 80 different professions in one team, and therefore that's why they have about 1,500 people driving and propelling two drivers. So it is quite intricate but like any other sport, right? You've got coaches, you've got managers, strategists, fitness people, nutritionist people. So those in motorsport is just double the size.
Double the size. 80 sounds like quite a lot. But let's talk about how generally we'll look at Europe, and it seems like the place to be when it comes to motorsport, leading the rest of the world. But it's certainly not the only place where one can build a career for themselves in motorsport. So let's speak about some of the programs that you have at ICAN Management for nurturing young talent in South Africa and almost creating a pathway for them to get into the sport.
Yeah. It's quite difficult to get into the sport because it's obviously financially taxing, but we all have to try. In South Africa, you would like to start in South Africa because it's obviously more cost effective. There's a lot of things that you can save on. You get into a world of karting from the age of 6. There's a little go-kart that you drive around. Lewis Hamilton and the likes have started there. It's probably your nursery school or your training ground. It's more so to see the competition in the child and to make sure that you're going to invest in the right place, I guess. It gives you a chance to learn. Before then, you move from there to an international program, which ICAN, obviously where it fits in and has space. And that's where we take the athletes that have proven themselves on the South African ground and take them internationally. And then they've done very, very well. You've got
Tell us more about how that works. So you take the athletes that have proven themselves from a South African point of view to the international stage, but how does that actually happen? How do you select the athletes? Where do they come from? And when you say take them to the international stage, what does that involve? Is it just exposing them to international competition? How does that work?
Okay, so like I said, we start at the age of 6 in cadets. And then there's different various levels. There's 2 championships that you can race in currently here in South Africa, all supported by Motorsport South Africa. You can go to those avenues to have a look to see and find us on there as well. They're our governing body. Championships in South Africa are definitely around 12 races. In those races, that's when you get to groom the kids, teach them, and expose them against other kids and other talent, you know. And then you try and raise them to an ability where then you can afford to now expose them internationally. Then the world opens up to, again, more karting, and then it starts to move into, like the picture on the screen, towards Formula One, just like traditionally everywhere else around the world. But to take them from the karting in South Africa, which is also still quite costly to do because it's man-machine and you're competing against others. But then when you go internationally, the problems are exchange rate, you know. So then you have to reside there. Our kids that you're seeing on the screen right now, families have moved over. They're now living in Europe. They've had to pack up everything, sell some have had to sell businesses and things to try to get the kids to pursue their Formula One dream, should I say, or their motorsport dream. And Yes, the minister's talking about it as well now, so it's getting quite exciting. A lot of people are starting to be aware that this is actually happening. Motorsport does exist in this country, and we do have great talent in this country. There's a lot of kids that are doing very well and are now starting to expose themselves to, coming from the southern tip of Africa. Formula One is no longer such a pipe dream, you know. You saw in the pictures, we have Toto Wolff there with Luviwe the whole day. He came to actually watch him for the whole day because of the talent that Luviwe Sambutla is. And Diso Mabunda as well, as you can see now on the screen. His first year was on the rookie championship. He was on the podium 3 times. You know, we've got these exciting kids that are coming through, but nobody knows about them, and that's why we're here to first of all promote that and promote that the sport does exist. Departments of sports and everybody, we are here, and these kids are doing very, very well. Yes, it is a mountain to climb, but it's not improbable.
And you speak about the work that you do. What would you say are some of the challenges that you then face as ICAN in trying to expose our youngsters to international competition?
For sure, it's the financial, but because of our history, it's also I've got to teach the parents why we have to do certain things and why we have to, like now, like I said, you have to move over to Europe. You have to leave home. Cultural affinity is different, and you know your whole life changes. It doesn't just change just for the immediate family, but it changes for the community as well. Because then the brothers and sisters have to go move over as well. They have to change their lives and stuff like that. So, it's teaching those that want to go for the Formula One for the road of Formula One. That's been a big challenge. But the spend is the huge one. A lot of drivers that do eventually make it to Formula One have their country support, have either private or public sector that come through with the family's obviously current ability and just boost it a little bit further just to get them over the line, and that's what we're appealing for.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mpho, and just enlightening us a little bit better. Who's winning the Formula One this year? Just want the name.
Lewis.
All right, Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, he says. We'll see how that one pans out. And that's the note on which we'll wrap up your sport news for this week right here on Morning Live.